come to Hancock County and take on these higher caseloads are gone now. They're not going to have those incentives. I hope that we don't have a backsliding sort of problem with people now leaving. I've heard rumors that it's been difficult to hire new people since those incentives went away. But that budget's been cut too. You know, when you start cutting budgets, everything gets cut except for those one or two things that get saved from the cuts. And CPS is one of them. We've cut their budget. So, yes, ma'am, and then I'll go to you first.
Me first. I want to go back to just a question that I have about SNAP.
Okay, I'll try to answer. I don't know.
SNAP is federal money, right?
Right.
But how did Mississippi get involved in cutting that?
Well, there's money available, and you're talking about the child care money I
Last
mentioned.
year, there was a big cut in SNAP funding.
Yeah, I don't think that, I
Or there
think
were
what we did was we decided,
regulations.
I think we decided not to take some of the SNAP money that was available to us. That's my understanding. Now,
Oh, okay.
I'm not an expert on that, but there's a young lady who's a researcher over at Loyola who did an excellent paper on Mississippi and the issues that we face, our impoverished faced, and our economic issues. It's pretty comprehensive, and I would encourage anybody who wants to get a clear picture of what's going on in our state. But she talks about SNAP benefits and our failure to draw down some money that could be used for child care services. That's what I was referring to.
Okay.
So it's federal money that was available, and we just said, no thank you. Now, interestingly, folks, when they're asked now, when the governor, lieutenant governor, speaker are asked, what are we going to do about infrastructure funding? They say, let's wait and let's see what Trump does with federal dollars for infrastructure. And I think that's very ironic that they're willing to wait and take that federal money for infrastructure that may or may not be there when we have money available that we don't take for things like Medicaid expansion and the SNAP benefits for child care and other things. So some federal money is merely filthy lucre, and other money from the federal government is golden, and we need to take it. So it just depends on whose eyes is going to go, I guess. Mark?
I understand there's been a Senate bill, and I think I've got the number right, 2057, which has been introduced and right now assigned to the Rules Committee. And what it seeks to do is to punish government officials and employees whose units of government or institutions do not fly the flag of 1894, which those of us who study our history might know was based on is the emblem of the Constitution of 1890, which was, to make a long story short, a white supremacist effort. So it would seek to punish these officials by docking 25% of their pay as long as they continue with that behavior.
I think it escalates too. It's 25, 50, it goes to 100.
It gets worse. And obviously we have all of the universities across the state that are no longer flying this flag. My question is how comfortable do you feel that this ill-placed bill is going to be buried in committee and will never see light of day?
I think it's going to die.
Okay.
I mean, the speaker, I'll give him credit on this. He didn't have to do it, and he caught a lot of flack for it, but he came out and said that we need to change our flag. So, I've not heard the lieutenant governor make a formal public statement on it, but my guess is that bill will die in committee on both ends, and we won't have to deal with that on the floor. But look, there are all kinds of bills that get filed every year, and the press likes to pick out the zaniest one. Not that that's zany. I'm not making a comment on it, but there are some zany ones, and they like to talk about those. And while we're on bills, I have filed a bill for a number of years that would bring Mississippi into line with our other 49 brothers and sister states and have implement an act called the Unfair Claims Settlement Practices Act, which basically is a model law that prevents adjusters from lying and cheating and stealing when they adjust our claims. Sounds like it ought to be easy, right? The insurance commissioner said he was for it, but for 10 years, I have not been able to get that bill passed. Well, this year, the insurance committee in the House passed the Unfair Claims Settlement Practices Act. So it's going to the Senate, and we'll see if we can get it out, but everybody says they're okay with it, so we'll be number 50, but we'll have an Unfair Claims Settlement Practices Act. let me just briefly, the other bills that I'm working on that have to do with youth court, I had a lot of complaints in this process of serving as chairman of the task force, and all of them, you just can't do something about. But there were a few, such as attorneys not being able to get access to their clients' records when they're representing parents. I filed a bill that will allow attorneys to get access to their clients' files. That just makes sense to me. There apparently were a lot of interviews being done that resulted in children being taken from families that there was no recording of. There was nothing but the notes of the overworked social worker, with a terrible caseload that we had to rely on when we went and we took a child away. So I have filed a bill that would require the verbatim recording of those interviews. Also, I heard a lot of stories about people who just out of spite make a call anonymously, and then the process gets started, and a child ends up getting removed, maybe rightly or wrongly, but the person who made the call doesn't have to leave a name, number, anything. So I filed a bill to require the person who's dropping dime on somebody else to leave their name and telephone number, which I think will discourage the fake calls, the calls that are made out of spite. And we don't want to disclose that information to anybody. Only the authorities will have it. But if they're required to give it, then I think it'll cut down on some of these anecdotes that we were hearing about. One other thing, and then I'll answer any other questions and we can finish up if you want. But Alabama passed a bill last year to set up a really good mitigation program, hurricane mitigation program. And we had one, but it wasn't really good, and they were wasting the money. Y'all may have heard something about this. So I have filed a bill to take $9 million in surplus tax from the out-of-state insurance companies pay, take that $9 million, fund a really good mitigation program that makes houses comply with a certain standard that is an industry standard in the insurance industry, so that not only we know that they're stronger and safer, but then the owner gets a premium reduction for that. So y'all watch for that one. Encourage anybody that you talk to help me with that. That would be very good for us down here on the coast, and I'd like to see it get passed. And so that's it, Hunter, and there are a couple questions in the back.
One last question for Representative Baria would be, I'm not trying to rank your points and files and which bill is more important, but I think the publicity is going to probably get behind you a little bit about the Evelyn Gandy Act, if you don't mind sharing that bill that you're working on. And exactly what do you think as far as, is there going to need to be people coming out trying to support it with you, or do you think it's going to go through committee or anything like that?
Good question, thank you. I have filed for several years a bill that is a gender equity bill, which I named after Evelyn Gandy, who was the first lieutenant governor, first woman lieutenant governor of the state of Mississippi. And just a gem, everybody loved Miss Evelyn. So nobody really noticed for the past 5 years, but this year, somebody wrote a story about it. It got picked up by somebody else, and there's been some interest in it. I mentioned earlier, Lynn Fitch, who is treasurer of the state of Mississippi, called me and said, David, I want to support your bill. I said, fantastic. I now have a couple of co-authors who are Republican females in the House. And yes, I need help with it, because the chairman of the committee told me it's dead. He said, I'm not bringing it out. And it's been double referred, so I got to get it through two chairmen. But if enough people are letting people know up there that they care about this and they support it, then there's a chance we can get it done. And look, the bill is not going to change everything overnight, but what the bill would do is make a statement that even down here in backwards Mississippi, we care about things like that, and I think it would help us nationwide, maybe worldwide, if we could pass something like that. So I appreciate your support on it. Back in the back, yes, sir?
Well, COBA, BOCA, Southern Building Code are all based on the minimum standard of building, and through the Mississippi Rating Bureau, if you build above the minimum standard of building, you are already entitled to a deduction on your insurance.
Yeah, that's a little different though. That you have to build with heavy timber construction or masonry, if we're talking about the same thing. This would be retrofitting existing structures in a way that meets, I can't remember, is it IBHS? Is that it?
IBHS.
Yeah, I think it's IBHS.
Fortified home.
So it's an additional way to get.
Additional way.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, go ahead.
So, I was just going to ask a question on the new bill that passed, that everyone have to have insurance or you wouldn't get a car tag. Would it have an economic effect on the local community? And the other one would be that if that bill passed, will we still have to buy uninsured motorists?
All right, the bill that he's talking about that we just passed last week, another one that was kind of run through, I don't think really does much of anything. Because you can go get insurance and get, pay the initial part of the premium, finance it, pay just a part of it, get your card, then go get a tag, and then never pay for the insurance again. So when you get in a wreck, you don't have insurance. We have to come up with another way to make people do what they're supposed to do. I don't think it's going to have much of an economic impact. But, I mean, I'm okay with everybody having insurance. I just don't think, I said earlier, I don't think we ought to force anybody to buy anything. But as a lawyer, when somebody walks in and they've been injured by another driver, I'm happy that the other driver has insurance. If they don't have insurance, you have to look at your own uninsured or underinsured motors. And let me just give you this commercial. If you don't have uninsured motors, or if you don't have the highest limits you can get, go get it. It's cheap coverage and it insures you, not the other guy. So if the other guy has zero insurance, you look to your uninsured motorist. And if you got 25, then that 25 uninsured motorist is all you're going to get. But if you're like me, you carry a little higher liability, I carry a much higher uninsured. So if a member of my family gets hurt and the other guy doesn't have insurance, I can recover. And it's not that expensive for uninsured or underinsured insurance. So that's my lawyer commercial here. Hey, Ryan.
Compulsory kindergarten attendance.
Yeah, I have filed a bill on that. I have to move the minimum age back. I mean, the data is clear. Kids can and should start learning earlier. I don't know, when we were kids, they apparently didn't think we could learn until the 3rd grade or something. But my kids, they're all much brighter than me, thanks to Marcy. But they can start learning earlier. And if we get them in school earlier, the outcome on the other end